One slight goof, but other than that, it was good.
Hey, I'm a part of the goof troop.
Yeah. It's Turkey in the Straw. They're a traditional Irish, Western American sort of song, and it's appropriate for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving, folks.
Welcome to the podcast. It's Two Lonely Boys in a Canoe. I'm Gorgeous George. That's Gravel Shits.
This is our Thanksgiving special.
Yeah, this is our Thanksgiving special, stuffed with the stuffing that you really want to stuff.
So you better gobble up all of our great jokes and witty antics.
Baby gravy.
Running out of time, baby.
You're running out of time, baby. Nah, he's good. You're out of time, baby.
Hey, you want to say?
Damn.
You talking that jive, Turkey?
So, a little Two Lonely Boys context. If you guys don't know, go onto YouTube and check out Black to the Future. It's an early Family Guy skit from the first couple seasons,
awesome.
But it's hilarious. Peter's going into his family history about how he's partially black. And he goes, yeah, I had an uncle that was in the movies, or he had an uncle that exploited movies, like blaxploitation. And it was like, from the brother that brought you Super Shaft. And it's like, it's a whole new thing. And it just goes to show a character like Peter driving a car, he's black, and he's getting shot at by a bunch of pimps on the corner.
Black Peter with an afro.
Pretty much. And then he gets one of them on the hood of his car, and he's shooting at him point blank. And he goes, "Oh, you out of time?
You out of time, baby."
And then he hits the gas, and he goes to 88 miles per hour.
He does a quantum leap,
or he does the Back to the Future. Time travel. And then he ends up in 1950s, and it's just this funny black version of Back to the Future. It's hilarious.
It is pretty funny.
Go check it out, folks. You'll love it. Black to the Future. You out of time, baby.
We're about to be some reefer addicts right now. Boy, go back home to your mama.
So how's everything been going, Trevor? Everything been cool?
Yeah, it was a very chill day. We both had the day off work.
Yeah, thank God for holidays. Thanksgiving always falls on a Thursday, which is kind of dope because, most people are pretty cool with having Thanksgiving off.
Yeah.
Not every job gets every holiday off, but most places.
Now, we both have work Friday, the day after, and there are a lot of people that do not have work
tomorrow.
There's also a lot of people that do not have to work tomorrow.
Well, it's true, but I believe there's going to be a lot of call-ins as well.
Yeah.
Because people are going to say, oh, this or that, and something happened.
Oh, my sister came by and kidnapped me and gave me drugs, and we had
I'm 2 counties over. I got a call that one time from an employee that was supposed to... Dude.
Sounds like a country song right here.
I got a call from an employee that was supposed to be there at 7 a.m. when I was working at Subway. I was the opening supervisor. So they were my second person to come in with me. They call me up on the store phone and they're like, hey, I'm in Portland. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, we came out here last night to do this, and then something happened, and I couldn't get a ride back, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yo, you're supposed to be here. It's Saturday. I got a ton of things I need to do. Like, I had orders I had to prepare. And she was like, well, I'm in Portland, so. And I was just like, you asshole.
Bitch,
you knew you were going to be in Portland.
Yeah, no, she knew.
She knew. And
she knew.
She
didn't care.
Give a shit.
Did she leave suck you off later?
No. She just came back to work and was like, sorry.
Bitch.
It happens.
No.
Life sucks sometimes. Yeah. Life sucks sometimes.
It does.
Speaking of sucking, brought to you by Vampire Teeth. The only store locally that sells you vampire teeth.
Suck your blood.
There's an owner from Transylvania.
He's here on Turkey Day.
Well, he opened shop thinking that it was going to be such a hit. A dude from Transylvania selling fake vampire teeth.
Yes.
And it's just plummeting. The business isn't there.
There's a bunch of vegetarians there
It gets pretty busy around Halloween, but that's it. He's a seasonal guy.
The vegetarians harass him all the time. That's his biggest enemy. The vegan group.
What's your problem, man?
Why do you need blood?
He's like, I'm not a real vampire.
Hey, beings of blood have feelings too,
There's a small cult following of goth kids that just hang out in front of his store he has to chase away constantly.
Yep.
Get out of here. chases them all with a cross and a fucking stake.
Hey, you're ruining my vibe. Get out of here.
That
Blah.
lead goth kid's like, go ahead, man, do it. Send me to the eternal damnation.
Hey, I'll give you a count of 5 before I call the police. 1, 2, 3,
You're doing
4,
the
5.
count from
Yeah.
Your Transylvania guy just turned into the count from Sesame Street from Dave Chappelle's
Well,
DC.
that's my brain just read.
You went to
1
Dave
call,
Chappelle?
2 call, 3 call.
Shout out Dave Chappelle, man. You're the shit.
Yeah, he definitely influenced us a lot. Like I've had people even tell me like, "Hey, I could tell you listen to Dave Chappelle just by a lot of random sound effects and a lot of the
And
things."
shout out to the Legion of Skanks and Dan Soder, who did a great prank call,
Bro,
man.
that was
hilarious.
legendary.
Dan Soder called a Fox. She was trying to do an interview about comedy, and they called Dan and was like, "Dan, can you do a good? I'm good right now. Can you do a good Chappelle?" And immediately he was just on it. He knew how to do the voice.
He had practiced
So-
before.
so somehow through the communication there was a miscommunication, and the woman thought she had Dave Chappelle's number. So when Dave Smith, who is not Dave Chappelle, called her,
Wrong Dave.
yeah,
Wrong
different Dave. She was like, hello? And then he muted his phone and then put it on 3-way call.
That's smart.
And
the conference call thing?
Yeah, conference
Smart
call.
as fuck.
And then he had Dan Soder do the best Chappelle impression about how Louis J. Gomez was his best friend.
And the lady,
and how Louis's weight fluctuated
Yes.
constantly.
but she did say he is a good looking man.
Yeah, the woman was trying to fuck Louis. She was like, I seen him a week ago. He looks pretty good.
He's like, yeah. But yeah, the best part is muted, so she couldn't hear all the comedians laughing about the whole situation. All
Yeah.
she could hear was Dan Soder.
And this must have this must have went on for like 5 minutes. It was hilarious. It was the best
Yeah.
prank call I've heard in years.
Dan Soder should win an award for that.
Dude, if there's
Win
a
a
if there's a
comedy prank
award
call
at the
award.
Voices, you go into the Voices.
Like a prank call, best prank call.
Yeah, no, there's just a
Should be a
goddamn
category of prank calls. Dude, that should be a category of the comedy show, just like best prank calls recorded.
Yeah, of course. There's a lot of crank yankers calls in there and stuff. But yeah, no.
Roy
Legion
Jones
of
Jr. would
Skanks,
do
man.
that. He was one of the guys that would do that too.
Yeah.
No, Dan killed it.
It was good, man. I really liked it. So shout out Legion of Skanks. Dan Soder, you're the man.
Yep. So, anyways, sorry about a random comedy. Both guys that like comedy, so we randomly talk about a lot.
Well, I think that they're one of the reasons why we do this podcast, man.
Probably.
I know that the Bonfire, particularly, is one of my favorite podcasts.
Yeah.
And one of your favorite
It's
podcasts.
become one of mine, and then shows that in the past that have like really helped me get my like way I joke around is having like Trailer Park Boys, obviously South Park.
Trevor's a real Trailer Park Boy head.
Yeah.
I'm not as much. I like some of their jokes.
Well,
I think that there's funny compilations on YouTube.
I think it was just the time, the
But
place.
I think that Trevor was going through some rough stuff.
I was homeless at the time, and sometimes I would save a buddy at a trailer park,
Yeah.
and he would have it on. So
Trevor
it
was
seemed
a
fitting.
literal Trailer Park boy.
and we would
Trevor's
both,
like, God, I'm poor and they're poor. I
Yeah.
respect their poorness.
and I was doing construction at the time, and just
Trevor's
trying to
sitting
find a
there
place.
eating ketchup chips,
Dude, we would go to the Safeway, and we could both afford like
putting
bare
liquor in
shit.
water bottles.
Oh, we had liquor, basic ass food, and yeah, really not too many vegetables, and we'd have to a lot of that
It's
trailer
a man's
park toilet.
diet,
Yeah,
man. It's a man's diet.
That
and you know
toilet
what the
took a lot-
man's diet mostly consists of? Potatoes, meat, maybe rice, alcohol, and maybe a couple of mixed in vegetables here and there.
and a fruit now and again, like an
Fruit
apple.
roll up.
An apple somehow snuck in there, and an orange.
Yeah, an orange or banana.
Yeah, the toilet definitely took a beating. That's for sure.
It's hard, man, because living in a trailer park, I've never lived in a trailer park for an extended period, but I had a ton of friends in trailer parks, and I had a lot of people that watched me growing up that lived in trailer parks that I stayed, weekends and overnights and shit like that. And so I got better glimpses of it. There was one that was right behind the rodeo. And it was pretty nuts because the rodeo would come to town and they would do like a big show, man. It was a big thing. And it was a small rodeo, so like the whole town came, and it's kind of
I bet
interesting.
that trailer park was fun to party in during the rodeo.
Well, here's the best part. So right beside the rodeo, there was 2 chain link fences and some panels, but the panels had been ripped out because the people at the trailer park just wanted to watch for free. So they ripped in like holes, and it was just like viewing holes for the trailer park.
Why not?
Yeah.
I would have done that if I was there.
So again, you know, redneck ingenuity. I ain't paying to see that bullfight. I'm gonna fucking rip these goddamn
Yeah, if it's right
things
there,
out.
I'm gonna do that too all day.
Well, I think they kept trying to put him back, but they kept ripping him, so eventually they just gave up.
Yeah, you're not gonna win. They live there. They have.
They live there.
They live there. Unless you kick them out, they're gonna tear those panels up.
Yep.
So we could do some news here. Bump, bump. So today here in Eugene, we had the turkey trot at Alton Baker Park nearby, and it was a 5K or 10K run, so 3 to 7 mile run, and it's done every year. And money is usually raised for some charity, and it usually happens in the morning, usually about 7 a.m., 8 a.m. And
What a time to start a run, though.
yeah, they do it in the morning. And
I mean, like, what about 8:30? Yeah, that'd be nice.
no, you have a lot of people with hopes and dreams and ambitions, Chris. That like to these are people a lot of times that
But
don't.
to be at the race by 7 and to be like signed up, ready to rock, waiting for the starting gun, you have to be up by 4 o'clock.
These are do-gooders, Chris. These are good. These,
and then at 7, from 4 to 7, you're gonna run until noon probably, maybe sometime before
Yeah.
that, you know, because it's like a 5K, right?
these are good people, Chris.
What's that supposed to mean to
Better
me?
than us assholes.
I guess
We're just on our
Trevor
feet
donated
working.
$60,000 to food.
Thanks for putting me on blast there, bud.
Okay, sorry. It's true. You're a good guy. You were just saying that people don't appreciate you helping things. Man, people appreciate that. They just don't know you, and they don't know where it came from. So these runners, what did they raise, like $10 individually?
I mean, hopefully they raise money that they could help out everybody.
Man, it happens, people. You need help sometimes.
Yeah.
So
I've needed help before, so I appreciate
Trevor reciprocated, just as I do, with
I-
my job.
Yeah, I had a chance. I randomly came upon this money.
Yeah.
And I had already been poor and homeless and all these things, so I was like, all right, so I'm going to give back to places that helped
Yeah.
me out when I needed it. So it was
a
very
good deed.
It was a good feeling.
You know, and that's what the world needs more of. The world needs more good deeds. So this was a good deed. I'm just saying, a lot of effort. A lot of effort for one good deed. But,
Yep.
you know, there
People
you
do
go.
that. People do that.
There you go.
But yeah, give thanks for what you got. I guess it's.
I'm
the
just
whole-
saying 8:30.
That's fine.
8:30 would be more reasonable.
I agree.
You get up at 5, you're there by 8.
Chris, we didn't plan this. We're just random assholes that have regular ass jobs. So, anyways, national news. We had, of course, the
Nut Zongo.
not Zongo, but we had the Thanksgiving football. I'm sure we had
Yeah,
that
the
silly.
Cowboys played. My dad's a big Cowboys fan.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah, Dad
Did they
has
win?
liked the Cowboys for years, and it's hilarious because I grew up in South Florida and we were all like Dolphins fans. So whenever
Makes
the
sense.
Cowboys would play the Dolphins, it would always be like a "fuck you," they're not gonna win.
I'm surprised he doesn't like a New England teams. I know he's from the New England area originally. So I'm surprised he's not like a Patriots
from
fan.
Maryland.
So
So,
what would be
he
the
would be a
closest thing-
Baltimore Ravens fan, but
Yeah, the closest one.
But he didn't really get into Maryland football, I think, because I think the Cowboys, when my dad was into football, were like the Patriots of the time. You know, the
Oh.
Cowboys were the big team on the block in the 70s.
yeah.
And, you know, same with the Dolphins. The Dolphins were big back
They
then.
were both big, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the Dolphins and the fucking Cowboys haven't aged too well. The Dolphins are doing okay this year. The Cowboys are doing okay. They're both doing all right.
And we also had the, I'm sure, of course, the Macy's Day Parade that happened in New York City.
New York, shitty.
And I found out that, I'll talk about later on, this documentary saw that Macy's parade is.
It's New York. You gotta run around town. You go to a show, and then you get in the ground, and then you go on a sub, and you travel downtown, and then you get off the bus. You're getting mugged downtown. It's a New York show.
New York
Dance
show.
in the street, get hit by a cab. Just like a random.
And now your life is real fucking drab.
Yeah, it's just a '90s like opening to a sitcom. It's like it's New York.
I'm waiting for Jerry Seinfeld to be like, "What's the deal?
Yeah, what's the deal?
What's the deal?"
It's following a girl that just goes to Jerry Seinfeld shows. She's a stalker that Jerry's never met. Stalking Jerry, it's in New York.
But apparently these balloons are for every day of the year except for Thanksgiving. They're all kept in this old Tootsie Roll factory in New Jersey, and then they get
Tootsie
opened
Roll.
up. The Tootsie
Roll.
Roll over in Boise, and then they get taken out and blown up.
Over with Uncle Luke in Jersey.
Yeah. Or it makes me think of
Do
Carl.
that Tootsie Roll.
Or I think of like Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force from Jersey. He's like, "Hey, what's going on with these balloons?" He's just smoking a cigarette and drinking an Old English as they're getting blown up.
I'm on that New Bronx paradise. I'm on his New Bronx parasite.
Yeah,
These are
it's a
worms.
tapeworm.
Yeah. He's like, no, it's a diet bar.
Shout out Carl. He was my favorite character on Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
Mine was Master Shake.
Master Shake was good
No,
too.
well, Meatwad. I think
Meatwad?
it goes Meatwad because he was funny as fucking adorable.
He was just goofy and
yeah,
adorable.
and then it was Master
like
Shake because he was the crazy one. He was like Kramer.
Yeah.
And then it's like Frylock.
or it reminds me also of like Dr. Zoidberg. Just like boom, 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 boom.
Just like in
the wacky character.
Well, just like in Seinfeld, like my characters are like obviously Elaine because she's the hottest.
Oh, of course.
You know, she's the female. Elaine, she's hot, and then it goes George, Kramer, and fucking Jerry because Jerry is funny, but he's not as funny as Kramer, and he's not as funny as George.
And it's funny because he's the biggest comedian out of all of them.
Exactly. Isn't
In
that
real life.
hilarious?
And then Kramer, the guy that played him, kind of had a racist meltdown and got
Michael
canceled
Richards.
hardcore. Hang him high! He got shut
They
down.
were talking about that on, I think it was Legion of Skanks.
That literally ruined his long career. Just that one. It's crazy.
Well, they were talking about it, and it was crazy because they brought it up on. He did an appearance on Curb Your Enthusiasm, the show with Larry David.
Yeah, I've seen that show.
So they were doing a Seinfeld reboot basically, and he was coming on, and BJ Smoove answers the door. He's the black guy on the show.
BJ Smooth.
Yeah,
That's a funny name.
He's got a cool name. And he opens the door, and Michael Richards is like, "Come on, man! It was 6 years ago. Let it go."
He's just wanting to make fun of him.
And he's just like, "What? What are you talking about?"
hang him high.
No, but Michael Richards that was his best line about it. He's like, "Come on, man! It was 6 years ago. Let it go."
He just wanted to make fun of himself. But yeah, so the Macy's thing happened, and I'll talk more about that when I talk about Turkey Day facts. But for world news,
Do you feel bad for Michael Richards?
he kind of asked for it, but
He kind of asked for it, but I think also like when you get into a bad argument with somebody, you start saying shit that you normally wouldn't say. You know what I mean? Like you start swinging pretty wild.
yeah,
Maybe he was just caught up on stage in a moment and he was just pissed and he had no fucking idea what to say than to get a reaction.
just say the craziest thing he can possibly.
Yeah, and then he thought like they would sit down and shut up maybe. But then the guy was like, "Fuck you, man, that's out of line," you know. And then
the whole
everybody in the
crowd
crowd's kind of
turned on
like,
him.
yeah, that was kind of out of line. And he's like, "Well, damn it." He lost the audience and everybody thinks he's a psycho now.
Anyways, so for world news, we still have the 2022 FIFA
What about
World
national
Cup.
news?
I did it. The Macy's Day Parade thing.
Well, that was just one thing. I got one.
All right, go.
So there was a mass shooting in a Walmart. Manager that runs the night shift came in, and he killed 6 of his coworkers in the break room and shot like a bunch of others. So there was that mass shooting, and then there was a shooting in a school. So we had 2 shootings this week, y'all. What's up? Put it on the board. You just start counting how many school shootings until there's gun reform. Fuck, man, it would be in the hundreds of thousands. Yeah. So, RIP all those people that went into work to do their job and got shot by a disgruntled employee.
And now they can't hang out with people for Thanksgiving. Gone.
No,
Yeah.
they're dead. That's how death works. You
Yep.
don't get to hang out with your family after you're dead.
Unless you're a time cop.
Nah. I think if you're dead as a time cop, you don't get to travel through time anymore.
But we don't know because we're not time cops.
You said you were a time cop.
Maybe I was bluffing.
That's exactly what a time cop would say.
Maybe I had a double agent.
Well, I have these female bodyguards, Mr. Bonds.
All right.
But yeah, so mass shootings are up, and the president pardoned 2 turkeys this week because that's what's important in this country is that we pardon 2 turkeys because we kill a bunch of others to pardon a couple, and
Make
a bunch
us
of
look
people
good.
get shot at Walmart. So there you go, President Biden. The gun is in your court.
Yeah.
It sucks, man. I'm just so sick of hearing about it. Like, we got a problem with guns in this country, and nobody does a fucking thing about it. They just sit there and they collect their fucking check, and then they sit there and they go, wasn't that sad? Our prayers and thoughts will be with the families. What the fuck?
Hey, you know what we could say about the Walmart shooting? Them dying, always low prices. Always.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you go on to world news?
Yes, we can. I think the cat knocked that weed over yesterday.
So, anyways, 2022 FIFA World Cup for soccer is going on in the Middle East.
Yeah,
in
and you know
Qatar.
what they did? They banned booze.
Oh,
They banned alcohol in the stadium.
that's shitty.
And Budweiser put a picture online of just crates and pallets of Budweiser, and
That was meant for the World Cup.
Yeah, that was meant for it. And it goes, "Don't worry, it'll be waiting for you when the World Cup's over." Yeah, it's just like, yeah, it's so true because people are gonna sneak in their own booze anyways, and then they'll find a way to get fucked up, and then they'll just get more trashed afterwards.
So I guess so far Japan is one of the countries that beat Germany. It was a big upset, and yeah.
You know
Other
that in Qatar, they have really strict rules on fucking
Well, yeah, it's a
women, and it's
a Muslim country.
well,
it's a Muslim
controlled-
country.
It's controlled by a bunch of rich people,
Yeah,
just like most countries.
but it's over in the Middle East. It's by rich people that put on that take on the whole religious thing.
Yeah.
So you'll have like religious leaders that just happen to be from really prominent oil families. Just
Why
coincidentally,
not? Why not? That own the fucking stadium.
you know.
Yeah.
Bin Laden's family.
Well, it's crazy
Yeah.
because there's a ton of people protesting the World Cup right now because of that fact. Because Qatar's got a bad reputation.
Got a
Bad reputation. For fucking beating on women and, killing people.
It's a very strict
Yeah.
Muslim country.
Well, that's what's fucked up, man, is that these people with this fucking money can build a goddamn soccer stadium, and then they can fucking, yeah, we're hosting the World Cup. We're gonna make millions and millions of dollars, and we're gonna kill a few chicks over here while no one's looking.
Well, even like UFC was still going on during the whole quarantine because the UAE, the Arab Emirates had so much oil money. They're like, yeah, well, we can bypass all these world laws of not doing the thing. We'll just throw so much money and make this state-of-the-art cleansing system and gyms, and
We'll
will
sanitize.
They threw so much money to avoid this global pandemic, and that's why now MMA and UFC blew up so much from them because it was the only one of the few sports that went on during the entire
because they
pandemic.
got checked. They were checked constantly before the fight. They got checked right before they started. You remember they
Right
had
after.
the little
Yep.
lasers and
Little
stuff,
laser zappers.
trying to laser you.
Pew, pew.
How hot are you? Too hot to trot?
So yeah, other world news, some positive news. NASA just shot up
Let's
Artemis
get
1.
physical.
Artemis 1 is a unmanned spacecraft that from the NASA that left the International Space Station, and I believe, and it went and did a trip to the moon. Unmanned, but successful. It just happened.
It's a supply mission.
Okay.
Yeah, they're trying to build up supplies and momentum for them to shoot people to the moon, so that once they get there, they'll have the infrastructure kind of started.
Trying to mine the moon.
Well, they're going to set up a base.
They're gonna try.
And what the base is going to probably
'Cause
be
we don't have any
is going to be a stopping point, a gas station, so to speak, for when we shoot to Mars. So that's what they're hoping is that, you know,
They're trying to build a pit stop on the way
100%, because
It
if
makes
you can
sense.
fill up with hydrogen or water possibly
to and from Mars.
from the moon,
Yeah.
you could definitely get back and to Mars. You know, all they'd have to do is send supplies like they did to the moon to Mars first, back that up with a closer launch from the moon.
Crazy.
I have a real problem with NASA though, bro. They need to bring the sexy back in NASA. I'm talking, I want these nerds laid, man. I want rocket scientists being treated like rocket scientists.
Yeah, this lady, like this hot chick, like takes off those nerd's glasses, like, yeah, you're about to blast off. And I don't mean with rocket ships unless it's the rocket ship between your pants.
So I'm just saying,
big red rocket of love,
can we bring
bud.
the sexy back in NASA?
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking hot astronauts. I'm talking fucking hot people
man.
working at NASA, being
Yes.
smart and hot.
Smart,
And,
hot people. Let's
dude,
go.
it would get everybody involved
It
in
would.
fucking airspace.
If you just had a bunch of hot bitches doing space stuff, you have so many men, they're like, yeah, we'll check it out.
back this up.
Yeah.
Why not? And dude, it would further space exploration just because men are horny and they'll throw money at them whenever they think
He's
women.
got a sex up. Ooh,
Dude,
that's how we
we're sexing
revitalize
up
the
NASA.
space race.
We're sexing up NASA. A bunch of
Sexing it
hot
up.
people blasting off into the universe.
NASA, you need to contact us. Maybe throw us some sort of contract deal.
Throw us some sort of moon money. We need moon currency.
Moon currency. Or if there is,
We need that moon cheddar.
by the way, if there's really cheese to the moon, we need some.
We want to test moon rocks.
Yeah.
We want to test them. We want to find out what they're made of. We want 2 hot scientists and a bowl of cheddar cheese.
From the moon.
From the moon. From the moon.
Lunar cheddar. Lunar cheddar.
Oh, man. Is that not a great idea?
I think it's a great idea.
NASA, bring the sexy back.
The other one is something that Chris showed me today. It's an article on verse aging.
Oh, yeah. I was up early this morning making phone calls to family members, telling them Happy Thanksgiving and whatnot. And I came across an article that, so recently, in the last few years, there was an interesting development in China with CRISPR technology, which basically made it possible to alter somebody's DNA. And from that point, they've still experimented with stem cells and blood cells and kind of how they can reverse the aging process on them, because how they explained aging is it's inflammation in the joints and the organs and the arteries. Your brain will also become inflamed eventually, at a point. So if you could reverse the cells pretty much direction on which aging process they were going in, you could how would you say that? You can make somebody more youthful with this possible treatment, maybe even 10 or 20 years. You know what I mean?
You can reverse the trying to think of all the technical terms.
The aging process.
But they talk about, good example they did is talk about like compact discs, how eventually they get scratches on them.
Enough scratches
that you can't play
read
more
properly.
So the CRISPR technology would be a way that you could take the scratches off the CD.
I didn't like that analogy.
metaphorically.
And you want to know why?
Why?
Because they were trying to break it down for the dummies. And I'm like, fuck you guys. I can understand this.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I read more than you. Fuck you.
that's exactly what a reader would want you to see. No. But, so they can basically directionalize which way that cells are growing in mice already. They've taken this technology and applied it to mice and done studies and trials, and they use the word breakthrough, which hopefully they don't use just willy-nilly, saying
I'm sure
that
that's an issue though, using that
some
word.
people, some scientists, because a breakthrough can be a lot of things, but if it's possible, it might go on to human trials sooner than you think. Maybe not in the next 5 years, but maybe within the next 10 or 20.
They were talking about a scientist in Harvard that's been working on this for the last 20 years.
Well, the original information came from a Nobel Prize winner from Japan.
And then this guy took that the last 20 years.
And the CRISPR technology.
The last 20 years, he's been working on further in that.
And it's cell manipulation to a degree that, let's say you have, and this is what interests me, let's say you have cancer developing cells. and they're starting to compound and create tumors in the body. Well, what's to say you couldn't redirectionalize those cancer cells into white cells or healing cells, or just normal red blood cells again? Because it is possible, but people worry about the ethics. But we've already gone there. We've already done it ethically, and we've already seen it work. So that's the problem, is it comes down to people allowing it to be used as a science. Most of the people that make up the laws aren't scientists.
Yeah.
They're not listening to the science.
No.
They're listening to the ethics and the moral obligation and the people's rights. And
No, they're listening to money.
they're listening to money, 100%.
So as you talked about, if they do make this happen, it's going to be the rich, of course, that get it first and
Yep.
foremost.
Yeah, so the rich people will definitely get probably first access to this, and then I think it'll be available in a more, what is it, like a placebo effect for
tell
the
them.
rest of the people.
They'll tell them, like, hey, you're not going to have cholesterol
maybe
issues.
1 out of 100, get real treatment, know. And that's the lottery that probably will be in the future, is maybe treatment on disease or even food. Because the problem, I think, in the future, we're going to have more than technology, is the planet's going to eventually just fucking rot.
And also, we're going to have a lot of people, too.
We're going to have too many people, the planet's going to get too hot, and it's going to begin to burn.
Yep.
And then we're probably going to be going underground. That's the only place I see most of the poor
And we already
people
have
going.
we already have our water getting poisoned. And
There's
all these
already
things.
people that live underground in a lot of cultures, man. It's just a way of living, and it's not well for people, but it's sustainable.
Come
and-
old people.
The only other thing is the rich people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos,
Space
they're going to blast
cowboys.
off.
Space
They're going to leave
cowboys,
everybody
yep.
else behind. They're going to grab their hot women and from NASA, and they're going to be out. So people, get good at digging. Get good at digging.
Yep. So, another one we could talk about.
Pew, pew, pew. Pew, pew, pew. Pew, 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 pew. That's not how you make a gun sound. It goes bang, bang, bang. Kenny's over there. Pew, pew, pew.
You want to do a movie review?
I was going to do Blade Runner, but I can't stay awake through it. I keep falling asleep on it. Basically, where I've gotten up to in the movie is he is chasing down a child of a surrogate, basically, of a clone, And he's trying to find who this woman is, but I think he knows who it is, and he likes the girl. It's really hard to follow because they're trying to tie in the old movie way too much to the new movie, so it's getting more confusing than it is telling the story. And I think that's why I keep falling asleep on it. It just, I don't know. The new Blade Runner wasn't as good as the old one. I like the old one with Harrison Ford. That was the best one. And I've been watching a ton of Law and Order recently. So, episode I watched really recently was a lifeguard episode, and it was about a guy that was passing or failing students in his lifeguard class based on if they would fuck him or not. Yeah. And then this guy, he gets taken to jail by the cops.
Oh, this person needs CPR, lady. You're gonna have to blow on this. You're really gonna have to blow.
So they go to find out basically that he was making people lifeguards that had no business being lifeguards because they couldn't swim pretty much.
Hey.
And he was just fucking them.
You pretend you're someone that's drowning. I'm gonna have to pump you right now. You're gonna get some good pumps. All right.
So he let a student die that he had a problem with.
Hell yeah.
And he was on, this was the best part of the whole episode. He was on the stand and they were asking him about being a lifeguard, and he was like, you guys don't know, the water is like a jungle out there. And he's like, and I'm the guy that's got the machete breaking the wave. He went into this whole thing.
Was this
And
Vietnam?
Yeah,
Was he
he's
doing?
like, I'm saving lives out there, what do you people do? And it was just the funniest thing. And then
I imagine Run Through the Jungle just starts playing in the
it
background.
comes to a head where they find out basically that he allowed this one student to drown to death because he was going to expose him, pretty much, and he had been molested by him. So that was the whole thing of it. When they found out, they got him in court, and they got him with all the information, and he's like, you people don't know what's gonna happen out there. And he's like,
They just
when
hire
I'm
someone
gone.
else. Just hire someone else.
Yeah,
to
but
do it.
he thought he was the David Hasselhoff of molesting people.
There you go.
You know, and I love Law and Order, man, because it's not afraid to go there and be really ridiculous. Because an overzealous lifeguard molesting people, like I could see that. I could really see that happening.
Hey, right now you're in a real sink or swim situation, if you know what I mean.
They found this one victim, which was pretty funny because she goes on to just tell him, yeah, he raped me and da 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 da. And she goes, I had no business being a lifeguard. And they go, you know, why did you think that? She's like, I can barely swim. And it's just like, oh, damn, this chick couldn't even swim. And he was just banging her in the back of the lifeguard room.
Hey, you're going to learn about the motion in the ocean right now.
Well, it's crazy that, like, that happens, man. People in power positions use their power to fuck with other people in jobs, you know? And it's fucked up. It's really fucked up.
All right, so here's, I guess, my movie review. It's about the History Channel documentary about Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
And it was really good. It was about an hour, and it was back when History Channel actually talked about history. And they talked about
back when the History Channel put the history, the his in story.
History Channel, you let me down.
Hey,
you let a lot of us.
It's her story. Oh, remember?
Yes, his story.
Yeah.
His story. What about us? Oh, I've met some.
That's a funny argument.
I also knew this angry lesbian once. She yelled at me. She's like, because I said,
what about her story?
Well, I one time said something about it's good for mankind, and she's like, what about womankind? Why is it just mankind, huh? And she just got in my face. This big angry lesbian just got in my face.
More
and I was
angry
like,
people than fucking pissed off lesbians. Like, they feel for some reason that they are the voice of everybody.
Anyways, going on. So it started with, you know, there's the whitewash story. We all learned about how all the Puritans came over.
How all the sugars are different.
So all the Puritans, all the Puritans came over to escape all the hardships and overcrowding of Europe in the 1600s, in 1620, and then 1621 that was approaching wintertime. They were like, okay, well, we had our harvest and we should do something. And the traditional story is that the natives, you know, they came over and were invited, and they had just a good friendly get together, and they did this every year.
I thought what it was
that was the official story.
I thought what it was originally was that when they showed up, it was becoming winter, and the natives helped them with food and supplies for the beginning of their stay, basically, and then the next year they had them back, and then I think the following year they shot them.
What they think actually happened is there was a few that might have had dealings with them, but when they were over in Plymouth, Massachusetts,
we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. Malcolm X.
That's good.
It's a good quote.
But they think that the Puritans actually weren't super friendly for the most part, and there's no actual account of like them going over
diary or anything.
Yeah, there's no diary of like the Puritans going over to the village nearby to the tribe and like, hey, do you want to come have Thanksgiving? Like, no, what happened was, I guess,
they probably rolled into town and was like, hey, this is all our shit.
But yeah, the men, people were being boisterous. The men, it sounds like, had probably been drinking, and they decided to start shooting their black powder muskets to like kind of, you know, stroke their dick around like, yeah, what's up? We got these. And apparently this hunting party was like, what's going on here? It was this native tribe, a name I cannot pronounce. My apologies. But they were a local tribe there, and they sent a bunch of warriors to go check it out, all these explosions going on. And then they just kind of awkward, like, hey, what's going on? Like, oh, this is our land, and, you know, we're here now.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I see you're having a feast. And then they're like, yeah. And then they ended up, like,
hanging out.
The natives they probably ended up hanging out, but then it didn't happen again.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't planned. It was an accidental thing.
Yeah, it was a meeting, and they weren't crazy enough to start something immediately.
So they had a
meeting.
And I guess there was one guy who was a translator because he had dealt with other Europeans.
Yeah, native.
So he was the one person that was a translator. But yeah, it was just kind of an awkward thing. It wasn't this planned kumbaya. And then, yeah, later on, these natives got killed by diseases and were shot.
So this is how I think it went down. This is my story.
Thanksgiving
this is my
story?
Christmas
Okay.
or Thanksgiving story.
Don't. Christmas is coming up. Let it be.
All right.
All right.
They're hand in hand at this point, pretty much.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, pretty much. Christmas is Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is Christmas.
They blur the lines.
Yeah,
a lot.
it's too much Christmas and Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is my whole take on the thing. This is how it gets weird. So, right, there's a Romeo and Juliet story. Okay.
Oh.
There's a boy named John Smith
I'm way
who
too
landed
sober for this.
who landed on the rock, and he met a girl by the name of Pocahontas.
And he wanted to see the colors in the wind. Is that what you're telling me, Chris?
It's a great song, man. It's a great song.
See the
Elton
colors
John.
of the wind. Like, man, what's you smoking to see
I
the colors of the
love that
wind?
Shit.
That should be a
I love
strain.
Pocahontas. It's such a good story.
You should have the colors of the wind strain. Like,
Yes.
man, you smoke this, you'll see the colors of the
Northern
wind.
Lights and fucking color strain.
Just
No.
the Pocahontas strain.
But no, probably what I really honestly think happened was they landed in a rough time. You know what I mean? They landed right before it got cold.
And I guess that soil
And-
is really rocky there, so
Yes.
it's hard to grow things.
Exactly. So they were having a rough time. And while they were having a rough time, the natives kind of came and
Yeah.
met them up. And I think they realized that, they hadn't quite settled in. And they gave them enough to get through to the winter. The next,
They were fresh
the
off
next
the boat,
spring.
literally, from
Yeah,
Europe.
exactly.
Yeah.
And they didn't forget it. But they hadn't seen the natives since that point, pretty much. I
Yeah.
mean, maybe they had small communication. But then the next year, maybe they had them around again, around the same time. They were probably hunting in that region, or they were,
Yeah.
living it nearby.
It's fall time.
And they were back again to see maybe the people, and they were doing much better because the natives helped them out. And so maybe there was a kumbaya moment for a little bit, but I think honestly it was like that. 1 year was good, 1 year was gooder, and then 1 year we shot them. Like they realized at a point, they were like, if we're gonna ever expand our settlement, we're gonna have to get rid of the neighbors. That's where a lot of the Native Americans went, as the white man came along and was
Fuck
like,
shit up.
he was like, this is ours now. And it's like, well, we've had this land first.
Well, we
Well-
discovered it.
well,
and
we-
you're all apparently
We have
Indians
a thing
now.
called Manifest Destiny on our side.
By the way, you're all Indians.
Yeah.
What?
and
what's India? They've never even heard of India.
We don't appreciate all
Yeah.
your cannibalism and all your
unchristian,
interbreeding.
your
you know?
unchristian ways.
Well,
Here, take our white Christian God.
That
and
was
just-
the biggest gripe with the native people, was that there were some practices of there were practices of cannibalism.
There was cannibalism.
There was also practices of maiming, where they skinned people's scalps, man, and shit.
Yeah.
So there were really harsh practices, but it wasn't on the European settlers to settle these people.
No.
They should have learned to kind of live amongst them better. I think we'd have a much more interesting population now if that was the demographic. But
If they had gone along better. Because
Yeah.
the natives definitely did help them out, show them, because they weren't familiar with the land, show them
No.
what plants.
And that's what I mean. I think originally when the settlers came to this country from all directions, because it wasn't just from one spot. They came from the south, they came from the west.
Northeast, all
yeah.
yeah.
I think that there was a constant communication, because when you see another person of another color that doesn't speak your language, there's a moment where you have to really
An oh fuck moment.
natural movements have to be the way of communication, like body language. So I think that most people get together on things like food, maybe beliefs, or something like that.
Maybe like some sort
Children.
of like music is another one.
Music,
Maybe
yeah,
they came-
definitely. But eventually the settlers just got greedy as fuck.
Yep. And they just kept showing up, so sheer numbers crushed
Yeah.
crushed everything else.
Because once you got a bunch of people together, a bad idea becomes the normal.
Yeah, like
You know
George
what I
Carlin
mean?
said, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. Yeah.
Man, it's so
That was
true.
the biggest thing is Europe just kept, so many people kept coming over in the millions
Yeah.
that, the native people just got overwhelmed with sheer numbers, disease, gunpowder, and everything else.
Definitely a different life is coming, and it changes ever constantly, man. People think we can hold on to our status and hold on to our things, but it's all dust in the wind. You got to hold on to the people that you care about the most, folks. If you don't hold on to that, your values and what you care about are kind of askew.
Can I throw some other Thanksgiving things?
Do it.
All right. So moving on from there, it was kind of a forgotten thing to the annals of history, but then apparently in the 1840s, 1850s, there was a lady who was an editor of a prominent women's homemaker magazine that she wanted
Like
to
pies and stuff.
Yeah, pies and general like home
Show you how to
home
make
cooking.
the best cornbread in the town.
Yeah, and like how to make the best like decorations for the living room at that time in the 1800s. Like definitely
Make
like prominent
a homemade wreath.
Yeah, definitely like for like homemakers and definitely probably the more prominent families. And this was a lady from the East Coast, and she had found this. She had found this, heard about it, and at this time, I guess like Ben Franklin was and George Washington.
You mean old Ben Frank?
Well,
Frank and Beans?
Well, he had
That's funny nicknames for
Frank and Beans.
for Ben Franklin.
Old
You mean
Frank
old electric dick?
Yeah. Stop!
Electric nutsack over there, Ben Frank?
Well, he had already made jokes about how the eagle was overrated and was
The turkey should have been our national
yes,
bird.
and he had made this joke writing to a family member about it.
Why
And
the turkey though?
Because the turkey was more of an American thing, whereas eagles were already used in a lot of empires in Europe already, like
China.
Europe. So like Russia.
Oh, okay.
So like Russia, for example, did it. Austria-Hungary did it. Like there were a lot of
there were already a lot of eagles.
Yes, there are already a lot of countries that did eagles. So us American is not. We stole that from Russia and Austria-Hungary.
Okay, but the turkey itself as a bird.
It's because it was big and showy, and it was something that was native to North America.
Sure, but like
because there weren't turkeys in Europe.
Okay, a turkey in a fighting pit versus a lot of other birds.
This is Ben Franklin joking around, and guess what? He also joked about daylight savings time. That definitely kind of sunk in the American psyche. So
daylight savings time should have been canceled immediately.
Remember the South Park? Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin. I like how we keep making fun of Benjamin Franklin. That's a running
Get
gag.
those spectacles out of here, electric dick. No, but daylight savings time should have never ever happened.
Yes.
Honestly, they should just figure it out without the daylight savings time. It's stupid as fuck.
It is.
Throws everybody off usually. Throws me off. I hate when the times of the day changes.
And it caused a lot of accidents and a lot of issues. But, the whole turkey and that kind of like stuck around, and this lady in the 1800s, she tried to push for this Thanksgiving.
Turkey would never kill an ostrich.
And she was trying to I agreed. And
I want an ostrich to be our national bird.
She was pushing for the turkey, and apparently the Civil War was brewing, so she was trying to make it something that the North and the South can both do. But she was a little more from the North, and apparently the South was like, no, that's a Yankee holiday. Fuck them Yanks, pretty much, and they wanted nothing to do with it.
I got one. A harpy eagle.
Harpy eagles are dope.
Yeah.
I'd be down.
Harpy eagle.
But yeah.
Or a shoe bill.
Oh, those are terrifying.
I'm talking death birds, bro. I'm talking death birds. How metal is your bird? This metal? It's like a cockatoo.
But anyway, she was trying to push for it. It didn't really work out. But then Abraham Lincoln apparently was trying to also push for it. And traditionally, Thanksgiving was more of a religious thing. And they decided a lot of times for Thursdays to make the thing.
Abe took his shot?
Oh, E2, Brutus. E2.
Yo,
death to the tyrants.
Can you imagine if right before James Will Booth shot him, he said something hilarious?
He was apparently the top actor in the country at the time.
I know.
He was like the Brad Pitt of the day.
He just shows up and he's like, "Hey, motherfucker, turn around!" And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "It's speak from the future."
But yeah, so apparently there was a whole traditionally the 19th was like a time to do it, and then they decided to pick Thursdays because that was a time.
Thursday's a nice day.
Yeah, it's a nice day. Well, apparently a lot of people that time went to church, and pastors would usually give a midweek sermon on Thursdays. So they're like, okay, well that's the time.
Very true.
And so usually they would like, all right, we go to church, we have a community thing, we'll celebrate it while we're at the church because most of the community would go there. So that's why they would usually pick it on that time. And eventually, after all that, by the 30s, I guess Franklin Delano Roosevelt
FDR.
FDR. At first, there was confusion about.
I mean, Roller.
Yeah, Roller. Hey, nothing.
Dude, we should come up with weird nicknames for all the presidents. It's like John Adams. You mean Indian rapist?
Or what about
Andrew Jackson? Yeah, Indian rapist. Yeah. That's it.
What about Pierce? Oh, you mean the fag president? Like there was rumors that he was the gay president. Like that'd be funny.
George Washington. You mean OG?
You mean old Wooden Teeth?
Yeah, OG Wooden Teeth. OG Wooden Teeth.
I like that.
Oh man, yeah, dude. Funny nicknames for the president.
I'm down. But FDR apparently
old fat tan and not handsome. It was Donald Trump.
Yeah. Or start making jokes about some more obscure presidents like Fillmore's.
I got one. The black guy.
Oh, you mean Ronald Reagan? Okay.
Oh, Reagan. No, you know.
Or Nixon, be like, oh.
Reagan would be the guy with the monkey. He'd be the guy with the monkey.
I would love to make one up for Nixon. There's up the old
Nixon's,
deep throat. Old deep throat.
Old deep throat.
But anyway,
Yeah,
so
awesome.
FDR was doing a whole thing about, all right, it'll be the 24th, but people were celebrating the 19th. So the first year, I guess, in the 30s, there was a whole confusion, and so people were celebrating like the 19th and again on the 24th, or half of them did then and that because it wasn't unified yet.
I like it.
So Congress,
I like 2 Thanksgivings.
So Congress in the 30s are like, all right, and then 1941. They made it official where it's the 4th Thursday of every year.
Okay.
Before then, it wasn't official, and then became a federal holiday. And then at that point, you had already had parades going on, back to what we were saying earlier, and they would feel him. And even they decided in the 20s and 30s that if they did a parade during Thanksgiving, it would help kick off the whole thing for Christmas. And because they also were saying that it was a bunch of migrant workers that were thankful for having it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it'll just be a good, honest thing. But then Macy's went out, the dollar signs started turning their head, and they have to make a big celebration pushing for Christmas.
For Christmas and stuff.
And
It'll get more consumers in the stores.
A lot of the corporations started thinking like,
Push
hey,
it to the limit.
This could help push everything over.
You know what's funny is they still have the Macy's Day Parade, right? The parade. Yeah. But I don't think anybody gives a fuck about it. Like I never hear anybody like, "Oh, I'm gonna watch the Macy's
older generations." The older generations
That's
did it. Yeah,
that's it. And they're all dying. They're dying. Almost dead.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm like, I think that commercialism, especially, is lost among the young generation and our generation because we didn't give a fuck about parades. Really,
no.
I mean, it was interesting if you saw one in your town, but it wasn't like, I'm gonna be fucking tuning in to watch a parade.
Like my grandma liked it, but she's also 90. She
Exactly.
remembers the Depression and World War II.
Because the Macy's Day Parade was like the Super Bowl for a while.
Yeah.
You know, it was such a big event.
And they were having football during Thanksgiving, like during that time, even in the early 1900s. That used to be when they would have their championship, was during Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And then it switched over. So you would hear about, like, for example, the Detroit Lions would be playing somebody like back in 1903 on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Back with old leather skins.
Yeah, you imagine getting hit with a leather helmet on, bro?
Yeah,
You're
dude.
fucked up.
Especially
Those guys played hard-nosed football. And it was funny because they were a bunch of, like, coal miners.
yeah,
and
so
fucking,
you had fit dudes.
yeah, iron
loggers and
workers
shit.
and stuff.
Yeah,
And
loggers
these
and
motherfuckers
fishermen.
just got off of a 5-week shift, and on Friday they're playing fucking the Bengals. It's like, what?
So it's like, oh, we got to rough them up like the docks of Philly real quick? Okay.
Yeah. No.
I'm sorry, the docks of Boston?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think it's a really cool thing that the sport's evolved the way it has. But
yeah, and Thanksgiving was a big
my
part
whole
of that.
gripe with football is I played it for almost 10 years, man, and I still have fucking brain damage from it.
I'm sure.
I was always a smaller guy, but I hit really hard and I put my body into a lot of shit, and that got me pretty far in football up until the point, because eventually size just does matter.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was nuts, man. I'd get my bell rung a couple times a year to a point where I was like, okay, that was a concussion. You know, and this was like me in 16, you know.
Yeah.
I started playing when I was 10, and I played up until I was 18, 17, something like that. So, you know, for quite a few years, I took some hits, man, and it didn't help my studies at all. That's for sure. So just be careful with children playing football.
Yes.
I think up to a collegiate point, you've pretty much raised them to be, you know, who they are. You can't really control what they're going to do in college, but especially in high school. High school football shouldn't be so to the nose. It's really hard, man, because a lot of those kids are fighting to get out of fucking bad areas and shit and go to college.
Yeah. So real quick on the topic of the turkey itself. So there's a whole myth about if you eat too much turkey, it'll make you drowsy because of tryptophan. Tryptophan. I've heard it.
Tryptonol.
No, it's tryptophan, which is amino acid, but apparently it occurs in turkey lower than chicken or in cheese. That was just kind of a myth.
They did that in Mythbusters.
Yeah. So what it is and it's a combination of eating all these foods. Usually you're having alcohol and other things. Plus,
if you drink.
Yeah. Plus, there's a lot of stress, too, from family, so they think it's a combination, which will make you sleepy.
Yeah, I watched it on Mythbusters. They just fed a bunch of turkey to somebody, and they did normal stuff, and then they fed a bunch of turkey in, like, a Thanksgiving-type setting.
That's a Thanksgiving myth.
Yeah, and it's just, I think it's the amount of food. You eat too much food, it has a natural effect to want to put you down.
They were saying that people can eat anywhere average 3,000 to 4,000 calories on Thanksgiving, but that's if, like, you have a home and you have food. If you're just like out on the street and you have no money, probably a lot less.
I've told this story on the show before, but I always love it. It's a funny story. I had a wrestling match a couple days after, or a wrestling meet a couple days after Thanksgiving, and I had just made weight pretty much for the first time in my wrestling career. I was always trying to be 215, but I was never quite 215. So I would get down to like 220 or whatever. But for one day or for a couple of days, I was 210, and that was like the perfect weight for me. I was like slim and I was in shape. It was good, but my coach told me not to eat Thanksgiving dinner. He told me to wait after and then eat, and I was like, I wanted the food because I was starving. I was working my ass off wrestling, and so I went home and I ate, and then I went to go weigh in, and I was what? It was like 219. I was like, motherfucker, I gained like 9 pounds. How did that happen? You know?
I remember I would wrestle at lightweight at the time. I'd do like 151s or the 150 weight class. And I was I always had an issue too of making weight because I was tall and skinny.
So listen to your wrestling coaches.
Yeah. He told me they also would talk about like, hey, you better not eat much. And of course, we would all miss weight. I remember our practices after Thanksgiving were the most brutal of any of them.
Yeah, because you had to sweat it out.
He's like, "Oh, you fat fucks think you're funny? Guess what? Practice is an extra hour.
We're running forever."
Yeah. No, I remember like practices being extra an hour or two to the point where parents were calling like, "What's going on?" And the coach is like, "Oh, they're doing extra work for Thanksgiving."
So my coach, he wasn't. I think he was a little disappointed, but he wasn't upset. So he had been talking to me about it for the longest time, and I'd been talking to him about it, about how I wanted to be down to 215 because I knew I'd do better in wrestling, because wrestling from 215 to 285 is ridiculous.
Yeah, all these big boys.
And I was just always a little overweight. And so he was like, don't go eating dinner, come back, and you can eat after. But when I didn't make weight, he looked at me and he goes, it's okay. It's fine. You're just going to wrestle heavyweight today. And I was like, God damn it, man. He wasn't wrong. And the rest of the day, I did pretty good, but I just got manhandled by big dudes all day. And I think he knew that was going to be punishment enough. Yeah. He was just like, you're going to wrestle heavyweight. You're not going to give up. Yeah. I was like, God damn this dude. But he was so right. Shout out Coach Alan Held, man. He was an Olympic wrestler. He won a gold medal in 86.
Nice. Yeah. That's impressive. So, yeah, another fun fact. For the original Thanksgiving dinner, there was no mention of turkeys or cranberries. So
it was chicken.
No, they think that actually it was fish and deer. Probably just like some trout.
I'm down. I want to have fish and deer for Thanksgiving.
And then the natives probably brought some deer. So yeah, they think it was like trout and deer.
I like it.
The other quick one is, you think chicken or turkey?
Chicken. We had chicken today.
Yeah, we had chicken for Thanksgiving.
So my whole idea for Thanksgiving this year, because I've done the big turkey and I've done the big meals and I've done the cooking for years and years and years, it's a lot simpler. Honestly, people, it's really simple to go and buy either a turkey breast, which is usually available around this time, or to just go buy a couple of rotisserie chickens and make, homemade stuffing, cook the chickens, or heat the chickens up.
So would you say that turkey's overrated?
I think the turkey's good. I do like things like turkey legs because of the novelty of it. You know, it's just a giant fucking leg. But I think other than that, turkey as a meat isn't that great. The dark meat is the best, but usually dark meat doesn't have the flavor you always want.
So turkey isn't that great.
Turkey's just a little bit overrated, I think. Benjamin Franklin's wrong.
I'm looking for a name. Okay.
I already got the name. OG Wooden Chops. OG Wooden Teeth.
Well, he did. He definitely helped kind of like promote Thanksgiving a little bit, so that would work.
OG Wooden Teeth.
Yeah, he did help promote Thanksgiving, so there you go.
All right, folks, we're going to get out of here. You got anything else, Trevor?
I do have a real quick album review, and it was a bunch of jazz music from the 30s.
Bunch of jazz cigarettes.
Yeah, and it was called Vintage Thanksgiving Music, and it was a compilation album from YouTube, but it had artists like Bing Crosby, Duke Ellington, Doris Day, so a lot of like big band and jazz artists. And the song I want to mention here is the song by Bing Crosby. And it was called I've Got Plenty to Be Thankful For, and it's from 1942.
Yeah, I listened to that
1942.
one. He was just like,
Yeah.
I've got pretty much a lot of things to be thankful for.
So there's a lot of songs from like the 30s and 40s.
We were talking earlier about how they just had Bing Crosby sing anything, and people just threw money at him. He was like, Listerine mouthwash, get your
Anything.
fucking cavities checked, something like that.
Make sure you flush the toilet. But yeah.
What? All right, Trevor. I think you're burnt, man. We had a good episode, man,
It was
right?
good.
All right, folks. We'll catch you next time. Trevor, you want to play us out real quick?
Yeah, and we'll have
Give
more
us something.
episodes uploaded.
Outlooped. Fruit Looped. We're going to Fruit Loop all the episodes. Lucky
All right.
Charms, too, baby. All right, folks. Check out Two Lonely Boys in a Canoe on YouTube and like and subscribe.
Gobble, gobble, bitches.
See ya. Happy Thanksgiving.